Hello, good day, and peace. I feel very called today to return to this discussion about um, becoming conscious of how it is that we live our life and whether we are living our life as if it is a performance or truly living it and learning from and through our living. I began this discussion maybe 2 weeks ago, and I want first to thank everyone who took the time to view this message, and especially to thank those of you who took the time to leave a comment. I especially want to thank Justice and Caden's mom, who left a question, and I'm taking this question as the topic for our discussion today. So, Justice and Caden's mom said, how can this be applied to a relationship, whether as a partner or as a parent? And today I'm going to focus on learning versus doing in a relationship as a partner. The first thing that came to me as I pondered this is that when do we really allow ourselves to learn how to fall in love, learn how to decipher, whether this in loveness means that this relationship can last. Learn how it is that we come to a sense of commitment and commitment for life. And then how do we learn the seasons of commitment for life? So the first thing is that very little is given us in this society as a precedent for the fact that we should be or we are invited and encouraged to learn through those phases. Um, I don't know about you, but I remember those phases of relationship. And when I was going through them, I was focused on, do I feel good or do I feel bad? And if things were feeling bad, was that a sign? Usually, that's how I interpreted it. That was a sign that I was not in the right place. He was not the right person, or this relationship was not working. And it takes a while for us to realize that feeling good and feeling bad are not necessarily the best indicators of the quality of the relationship and whether or not the relationship is worth the investment of time and energy that we want to give to it. Um, I think the whole idea of learning our way through a relationship is also distorted or has been infected by the fact that in this modern society, learning is looked down upon. We're not supposed to be learning. Many of us carry with us some shaming instances about learning and carry with us an expectation that we should already know. We approach life, we approach relationships from the point of view that we should already know. In fact, we should be expert at whatever the aspect of the relationship that we're in. So that makes it a bit difficult to um, to be really open to learning. The second aspect, then, once we have allowed ourselves to be learning, is to review. Let us review the principles of what it means to be learning. The first one is to make the movement slowly, to make the movement repeatedly, to match the movement with the exhale, and to encourage ourselves or welcome mistakes or errors. How do we apply that in a relationship? I thought a lot about it, and I'm going to choose a pretty mundane um, example within my 33 plus years in a marriage that I'm still in, and that I still feel a considerable amount of joy and love in. Um, so perhaps that's a reason to listen to me, and perhaps not, but let's explore. So, in my marriage, one of the things that a thorn, a repeated sense of irritation, is the fact that my partner, my husband, doesn't do the dishes in the kind of um, uh, repeated, disciplined way that I expected. Like, if you've dirtied a dish, you wash it now, not later, not tomorrow. And so that has remained in our relationship as an irritation. The second thing that complicates it is that I don't like to be nagging. I don't like to speak up when I'm irritated about the dishes, the pile up on the counter space or in the sink. And so those were the two things that I'm coming to an interaction with from a space of learning. How would I repeat? How do I find what it is that I want to repeat? Um, so there are two choices. One of them is to do the dishes myself, but with the idea of watching my reaction. There, it serves no purpose to do the dishes from a space of resentment, or it serves the purpose of building resentment, and that's not what I want in my relationship. So, or the other option is to give myself voice and to speak my displeasure about the fact that the dishes are there. So I became aware that these were my two options, and that I could bring a learning attitude to those by choosing the smallest movement that I could repeat slowly. I could identify what it is in those movements that I can do easily, and I could repeat them with awareness. Um, the the dishes, right? The doing the dishes. How much of this can I do without any resentment? What's easy that doesn't carry resentment? In my case, actually clearing the counters and putting them in one sink. We have a double sink. So creating one sink that's always clear, and putting things in the other sink so that my counter is also clear was something that I could do easily. Identifying the counter that I would never touch, that I would leave to be in whatever state he left it, was the second thing that I started to do. And then finding the time in the day where I was most likely to do things with a space of love and joy. So that's what I did. For me, when I first woke up, there's something about coming back from the world of dreams, and something about the brightness and the total potential of the day that really opens my heart. And so I also shared, I think, oh, I don't know, in my relationship, whether or not I shared this in the past or not, I'm always in love with my husband when I first wake up. So for all those reasons, doing this contribution to the dishes first thing in the morning, when I'm still wrapped in the cocoon of my dreams and the healing that takes place in the dream state, and the promise of the day was the right time. And then I would start and be loving. I asked myself, how could I wrap my action in enough love that I was leaving a little sprinkling of fairy dust in my actions? And how many of those can I do that still carried that energy? And then the last principle is at the first sign of pain. So at the first sign of, why didn't, that kind of rumination and resentment, I would leave. I would stop. I would bless what I had done, and I would walk away. So that's how I applied this to that action. The second action was to give myself voice, to negotiate the interaction or the exchange between myself and my partner about my displeasure when things are left to pile up, either in the sink or in the um, or on the counter. And I started with um, doing what's easy. I started saying, I don't like it when this is like this. Well, that was an error. There was a way in which so I said it nicely here. My guess is, and what my knowing is, that I probably didn't say it with that tone, even though my intention was to say it with that tone. So I started to see that it was a mistake. That was not the way to talk about it. So I went into my imagination. I started imagining myself knowing what is the tone that would not react or cause a reaction of anger or defensiveness on the part of my partner. And I practiced saying that. Actually, what I practiced was not my tone. I practiced imagining the reaction state. I practiced imagining that I had already said it and that we were looking at each other with love and that we were looking at each other with a kind of willingness to cooperate and an eagerness to do things together. So I practiced the state of being that I wanted to be in as a result of the way I had communicated. And every once in a while, actually, whenever I felt moved to, I would practice that state of being. And what I'm here to tell you is that after, I think it was just a couple of weeks, one day, my partner came and said, let's do the dishes together. And I thought, I was like, holy moly. Um, and we did. And we were in that state of being that I had imagined. Not everything was perfect. Not everything certainly came in the way I had imagined it, but there was this togetherness and this collaboration, um, and this problem solving attitude. We were playful and there was humor in this in this activity that we were doing together. So that is one way. I want to keep these messages short. That is one way in which we apply the learning versus doing to a relationship. Obviously, there's so much more that I could say about relationships, but I hope you got something out of it. And I can't wait to see and hear or actually read your comments. Leave your comments below so that we can continue to build on this, build on how we use learning and living as opposed to doing and performing in our intimate relationships as partners. Thank you so much. I will be back soon to talk about either another aspect of relationship as partners or moving on to relationship as parents. Please leave a comment. Please leave any questions so that your questions can continue to shape and help develop my messages to you so they have profound relevance for you and your life. Thank you.